All right, so hi, my name is Alvina Okoye. I am a licensed therapist and I own the online counseling platform Mind Be Well. The focus is always just giving you a new perspective on ways to disconnect from the imbalance that life is creating while helping you gain some tools from me to just refresh and regain control over aspects of your life that need some attention. You know, the focus always on here is just mental health and self-care and just really, giving you information to think about those things a little bit differently. So thank you for tuning in. So I have talked about some ways to change your thoughts to focus on goals that you have, but I never got into the process and what that can look like when you're trying to modify certain behaviors in your life. So we're getting back into spring. You might be returning back to work. Life may be looking a little bit like the normal that you're used to. You may want to get your body back into the best shape ever. I did see an article on that, so I wanted to just drop that in there. You might be trying to get rid of any unhealthy behaviors that you may have picked up over the years, emotional eating, maybe drinking too much, smoking too much, whatever, or maybe any particular addiction. But any type of change you're looking for, it starts with the five stages to really identify your readiness for actual change. Once you know where you stand, you can act accordingly on what that next step you need to take will look like. And if you're not familiar with these stages, or you just came on here to get more information, let's dive into today's topic. With this first stage, it's called the pre-contemplation stage, and this is more of where you're in denial. You could avoid the problem altogether and think it's everyone but you. You don't feel you have any behavioral issues that need attention. You don't recognize the cost of this behavior to your life. And you may not also have the knowledge that it's an issue. So if you're maybe used to a certain learned behavior, and if someone never corrects that, you really could be living your life feeling like certain behaviors are okay when they're not. And so here is where awareness needs to be built in some way. Finding some time to reflect on life. Is there an area that needs some attention? Would you like to improve on any behaviors currently? And also for you to understand that a problem exists in your world, what process do you usually go through to identify that, just so you have an idea of what your life may need to check in with what is and what is not working in your life and taking any possible steps to change it. This stage is where you're coming to terms with how your behavior has been impacting you. You're recognizing there's an actual problem. You're weighing your pros and cons. You may not fully be on board with changing yet, and you recognize that you're recognizing some benefits in possibly modifying your behavior, but you're not quite ready to take that step. In this stage, you're more likely to stay in this stage a little bit longer than the rest because it is more about thinking. You're putting that idea in your head that there is a change that needs to happen. You're not sure how to do it yet, but you're just thinking about it. And research has shown that within this stage, it takes about 6 months to actually take that leap to that next stage. So if this is where you're at, I think it's really just being mindful of, you've taken that first step in actually thinking about what that change could look like. You may not be ready yet, and that's okay, but it's just understanding that you're knowing that something is not right. You need to modify your behavior, and now it's about just thinking about it and seeing, what could be done. So the preparation stage, you have decided to make some adjustments to move you towards acting, to really modify this behavior that you're trying to change. And so steps you may take can look like researching about what this behavioral change would look like, what may be needed from you, what steps others have taken to accomplish this. And you may start making some small adjustments during the stage to really test things out, like creating a bedtime routine to really test the waters, especially if you are having some difficulty sleeping. Or maybe if you are drinking too much, maybe reducing the amount of drinks that you take. This is where you might want to start creating your set of goals, and breaking it down into smaller steps. And also just finding ways that you will motivate yourself to keep going. This could also be a time to recognize what could trigger you to take some steps back. And so preparing a plan here. You may also seek support from a therapist accountability partner in this stage to kind of really prepare for, this new step. All right, so action, like that, action. All right, so you're ready. You are practicing this desired behavior. You're allowing it to be part of your routine that you've set. And here is where you could see consistency from 3 to 6 months. This is also time where you're creating an environment where around you, this environment that you're creating for yourself, it allows you to be consistent. You are making long-lasting, changes for yourself to live a healthier life, basically incorporating this new behavior, and you found a way to consistently do it. You continue any type of support that has been helpful, and for you to continue this practice, make sure you are savoring in these moments. Find ways to celebrate the steps you're taking. I know at times that when we have certain goals and we are moving, towards each step, it's kind of like we feel like we have to celebrate at the end. And that's not, let's not do that. Make sure that any small step that you're taking, you're celebrating. You're, building yourself up. You are rewarding yourself in some way, regardless of how small the reward is. But make sure you're finding ways to reward yourself. Give yourself some, positive statements, or be your own cheerleader at times. But just make sure throughout this process, there's a plan for you to reward yourself, because you are modifying a behavior that possibly you've been doing for a while. And so any small step that you're taking to make little adjustments, I feel like that's a way to really celebrate this new thing that you're doing. So do that. Okay, so the maintenance stage, just like the word says, this stage is where you're maintaining this new behavior. You have confidence in yourself to continue, and research has mentioned that within this stage, you're able to maintain this new behavior anywhere from 6 months to 5 years. With the longer time period, meaning the risk of going back to an old behavior dropping. You build your list of things you need to avoid in this stage and what things could trigger you to go back to that old behavior. And you learn healthier coping, strategies to make sure you're preparing yourself for any obstacles that can come your way. So you want to maintain. So with maintenance, you got to make sure that you, just like you do maintenance on your car, you're taking it in, you're watching out for certain things to make sure it's not impacting your car. You need to know what maintenance looks like for you. The next stage is relapse. So different reports mention that this stage can occur throughout the whole process. It really is regressing back to an earlier stage where certain behaviors that you're trying to change. And research has shown you may just go back to the contemplation stage to restart this process again for you, maybe thinking through different ways you can approach it differently to get a different outcome. I think throughout this whole process, it's recognizing that you can go back. You can take a step back, but I think when you do take a step back, it's recognizing that you can still move forward. And so what does moving forward look like? Well, maybe it's creating a different set of steps to get to that same outcome, really looking at what didn't work and did work and kind of make those adjustments as needed. This is not an opportunity for you to quit just because it didn't work out, but I think it's being very mindful that yes, you're going to go through this process of you are going to go through these different stages of change. It's recognizing what they are, because I think it's very important. When you're able to know that you can go through these stages, I think you're able to be more aware that, you got to give yourself a little break. You got to give yourself a little self-compassion. And it's going to take work to really modify whatever this behavior is. Know that you can do it, but it's going to take time. It may take several times to do it. But I think one of the key things during all this is do not quit. I want to say thank you for tuning in again. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment if you really enjoyed what I talked about. Let me know if you have a specific change that you're trying to modify for, spring or for the rest of the year. I know for me, let me think about what mine would be. I think for me, it's consistency in working out. So during last year, I think it was very hard just staying at home and just kind of having that consistency of working out, since a majority of us were stuck at home. So for me, it's consistency in utilizing my my workout apps. That's how I've been working out lately. So it's really just not coming down on myself. And one of the things that I found worked for me is that instead of splitting my week to doing like 30 to 45 minute workouts, maybe 3 to 4 times a week, I got to a place where I was doing, or I currently am doing, maybe 25 to 30 minutes daily. For me, that's it. That's been helpful for me. I don't come down on myself for not doing a longer workout. That's all the time that I got time for, and I make time for that. I enjoy my workouts a little bit better. I feel like I'm rambling right now, but I just wanted to share a little bit about what I'm doing. All right, well, thanks again. Bye.